Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 38 of the Hazy Sports Podcast. Charlie, how's your week been?
Oh, good, good. Yeah, we're back to the crappy no sun, but overall, pretty good week. A short week. They always seem longer than they should be, but yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot more loose and nimble here after the gardening. I got in for a nice massage to work the kinks out, so that always feels good.
Yeah, it's I go quite often too, mostly just because of my job's a little physically demanding at times. But the place you go to, do they play like that weird sort of new age music where it's not really any songs, but it's just an instrumental backing track?
They don't at the place I go to now, but I've definitely been at those places, so I know the vibe you're talking about.
So the place that I normally go, the lady, she plays music, but she'll play like regular music, which the first few times I'm like, oh, this is actually more relaxing because, you just kind of lose yourself in whatever songs playing. Whereas I find that new age stuff almost distracting because you're hearing, pan flutes and shit. But the last time I went in, it was pretty weird. She must have had on like I don't know, like a 60s playlist, which not the era is fine. The era is good. But some of the songs on this list just did not fit like the massage relaxation protocol. Like it started off with like Angie, whatever, that's fine. It's a chill song, but when there's no other noise in the room, you start to notice things. And like, man, that Mick Jagger is not a very good singer in that song. So right off the bat, I'm thrown off. And then the next one was Long as I Can See the Light by CCR. Great song, but at the end he's like screaming basically.
Is
And
that the
I'm
one
like,
where he
okay.
finishes going do? Yeah.
No, he just keeps yelling,
Oh,
yeah, like over and over. So then it switches up to Whiter Shade of Pale. Great song. But I don't know if you know that song, how it ends. Like the guy's just building to another big crescendo and it just fades out. And so then I'm
yeah.
like thinking, what the hell happened? Like, did they run out of money in the studio and they had to cut it off? Like it's this huge build and then it just fades right out.
Yeah, it's funny the way you hear songs differently when you're not having a
When
few
there's
few beers and there's not a bunch of background noise.
so all that was fine. And then I don't know, we were getting towards the end and the end actually by the Doors comes on and I was like, okay, there was no vetting of this playlist at all because you know how that song ends, right? Like he's just literally screaming that he wants to kill his mother and I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, that
So the
that kind
last
of goes a bit dark at points in that song.
Yeah, when he gets to the walking down the hall part, I was like, okay, am I about to be murdered here or what's going on?
Yeah,
So
that's
literally the
no,
last like 20 minutes of this massage, I was just like, it was awkward. It was pretty weird.
yeah, it sounds like maybe they could just go back to the more mystical nature sounds for the
Well,
next one.
and that's kind of what I was thinking at the end. I was like, I liked the pop music or whatever originally, but I was dying for some pan flute by the end of that one.
Now, do you prefer a lot of talking during your massages or just kind of go quiet?
I don't know. I always feel like I should be talking,
Yeah,
but
that's
but then you kind of hit that wall where you just stop saying anything, and then it's awkward for like 5 minutes where there's complete like silence.
yeah, that's always a problem of mine. I feel like I want the silence and I don't want to talk, but I just don't have it in me to be be around another human and not start a conversation. So it's my shoot myself in the foot with that one.
The other weird part was with the same person. The first time I went to this person, started like the chit chat, and then she started dropping f bombs, which caught me completely off. Like I have no problem with it, but it's just normally they're usually pretty chill
Yeah, they're usually Zen type individuals.
So,
Oh,
needless to say, it's been kind of weird ever since the doors.
yeah. Well, I guess we got to do what we got to do to keep ourselves loose and limber these days. I've never had that kind of soundtrack to my massages, but
Yeah, I thought it was a cool touch, but then just kind of weird choices. But now I really want to find out what happened at the end of that whiter shade of pale song, because it's
yeah,
literally like they must have ran out of time.
I'm familiar with. Yeah, I've definitely heard that song a lot, and I'm familiar with the whole build up to it, but I
Yeah,
can't really remember the ending now that you mention it.
it just fades out, but it's like at the worst possible fade moment. It's funny. Anyways,
Well, I'm glad you're feeling good. I had a little bit of a bone to pick with my grocery services here. I just actually got back from Farm Boy. Do you ever go grocery shopping there?
yeah, I have a few times. It's a cool place. Little on the pricey side sometimes, but
Yeah, it's a little on the pricey side. I kind of do a hybrid approach between food basics for the staples and then kind of more get my
those are
produce and meat at Farm Boy. But yeah, in general, I have nothing but good things to say about Farm Boy. But they try to pack your groceries there, which, I appreciate the effort, but in this Farm Boy onboarding program, they must not teach how to properly pack groceries. And I come from a long line of grocery
it's true.
packers
You got
here. I
the
was,
lineage.
yeah. So I took a lot of pride back in the '90s of, I would almost be like a game of Tetris. I would be looking at that order. I'd see the heavy things on the bottom, the bread on top, and kind of you'd put a plan together pretty quickly. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going through today. First thing this guy grabs is a family pack of chicken breast, puts it right on the bottom. Then he's got the bananas and the produce, and I'm looking at all the some cans of soup, and I got a couple beers in there. And I'm like, buddy, where are you planning on piling that beer in the soup? And so I had to interject and kind of guide the process a little bit, but I've I've noticed that about the last 2 or 3 times that they're very eager to pack your groceries, and now I don't want to sound like a dick, but now I kind of want to be like, it's fine, I'll do it myself, because I
Do you
just
ever, do you ever, I mean, I go to a bunch of different stores too, but you know how most places you are packing your own, right?
hmm
Do you ever get where, you'll have 30 things and they won't help you pack, but they start firing down the next person's order? And now it's almost like panic packing just
race
because you
against the
want to get,
clock.
it's like you want to get out of there. So
Yeah,
weird.
the process has really evolved. Like, obviously, when I was packing groceries, it was the early to mid '90s, and it was more of a small town atmosphere. But I used to
It-
literally carry like $200 grocery orders out for people who were parked a block down the street through the driving snow and rain, and
Up the hill.
and I enjoyed that. But I never got a tip once the whole, whatever 6 or 7 years I did that, and I never expected one. So it's just crazy to me now when you go to like a coffee shop or something and you'll pay on your debit card for, black coffee that took 2 seconds to refill, and the tip prompt will come up, and it always reminds me of like those days of ca- carrying out groceries, a block away, and never expecting a tip.
Now, but you did pick up some good advice. Didn't they always say that you were the only one who could keep your sideburns straight? Didn't Yanni's dad always tell you that?
I think
And
so. Yeah, actually, I kind of forgot about that one. So I got tips in wisdom and knowledge from, the seniors that I was carrying out groceries for. Picked up,
did anyone ever snap at you for your bagging?
I did, yeah. Actually, I had somebody go to my dad one time, and I think I got a little rammy a few times and squished somebody's bread. And a loaf of Wonder Bread, it doesn't take much to squish that. So
Oh,
if
you look at it the wrong way, it'll cave in.
you get a little careless, but yeah, I would say I was more, my strength was really at the deli counter,
Oh yeah.
ripping off pounds of bologna and Black Forest summer sauce or Black Forest ham and the Bruce Packer summer sausage. But anyways, we won't go fully down memory lane there, but just interesting to see the evolution of grocery shopping since those days. But Charlie, what else did you get up to this week?
So yesterday we had my daughter made this London team, so they had their first team building thing, and it's crazy the evolution of minor sports. Like they had this whole arena. I mean, it's off season, so there probably wasn't a lot of things, going on. But they had this whole arena of like two pads plus like a conference room booked out just for these kids to go and get to know each other. They did a bunch of games because a lot of girls are coming from other towns. They had an hour-long practice and a skills contest, and then they did like these vision board things. And all I kept thinking about was like, could you imagine the coaches we had playing hockey setting us down for a vision board when, we were 12, 13, 14, and they're coming in saying stuff like, if that's how you're going to skate, you might as well take your shit off right now. Get out of here. Like I love it. It's so cool. Like it's almost run like a professional team, but it's amazing how far it's come. I was pretty blown away.
It's funny to think back. I could only imagine what we would have had on our vision boards when we were 12 or 13 years old. I don't know if we would have taken that process super seriously.
Well, even like I think it was 2 episodes ago when you were talking about winning the All Ontario and they promised some 15-year-olds a keg party. It's like putting a keg on the vision board.
That would have been right there, right, the keg right in the middle of that vision board. Oh, but that's cool. That's a kind of a nice way for her to meet some of her new teammates and get to know them a little better.
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. I'm really excited for her. She's never had any like one-on-one goalie coaching, and they've already set up 16 different things just for her to learn more goalie skills. So she's pumped, and I can't wait for the season to start now.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear it. And before we get into hockey talk on our end, we're introducing a sort of a little mini segment that we're calling What We're Drinking. And anybody watching us on YouTube probably know that Charlie and I like to enjoy a nice pint of different beer when we do these podcasts together. So we thought that we'd use this segment to highlight some local breweries and try some different things and just give a little mini review on the beers we're drinking. So,
Yeah.
Charlie, with that said, what are you drinking today?
So I like to keep it Canadian because that's just that's my wheelhouse, and I want to support local. So today from Great Lakes Brewery, I've got a Canuck Pale Ale. It's 5.2%. It's not it's not a light one like I normally enjoy this time of year, but since it's kind of gray out, I went with the Canuck Pale Ale from Great Lakes Brewery in Etobicoke.
Charlie, that's a great choice and kind of funny because look what I'm drinking. We didn't plan this.
Oh, there you
Also,
go.
this one's called Octopus Wants to Fight. It's an IPA, 6.2%, but also from Great Lakes Brewery. So apparently our heads were in the same place there. Um, yeah, this is a little bit on the heavier side, or kind of 6% is about the sweet spot for IPAs on a when we're recording
Yeah.
on a Sunday. If I had more yard work or something to do after this, I might look for more of a session IPA. But I always like the octopus on there as a Red Wings fan. It kind of ties back to a little bit of Red Wings culture. So we'll continue to sip away, sip away at these, see how the mouthfeel is, and give our report at the end of the podcast. But without further ado, let's jump into the hockey action because we're now a few games into each series on the West and the East. Where do you want to start with, the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference?
Why don't we start in the East because it's the most fresh in my mind after watching last night's game?
Yeah, let's do it. Obviously, first game, Montreal comes out with an offensive explosion to kind of dominate that one. Nice to see all their big guns kind of get it rolling. And then last night, game two, a tighter affair, and Carolina gets the OT win to tie things up at one apiece.
So I work with a bunch of Habs fans, and all day before game one, I was saying the last thing you want to do is give up an early lead to this Carolina team because they can just shut you down. So what was it, 40 seconds into game one? And I was like, oh God, here we go. But Montreal answered, I think it was 28 seconds after that. And I was like, okay, they got some fight in them, and obviously went on to blow it out. And I almost chalked that up to Carolina was kind of due for a stinker. And, you know, obviously having 12 days off or whatever it was probably affected them a little bit, especially with Montreal coming off another friggin' game 7 war. Um, but last night's game, I I have new respect for that Carolina neutral zone and defensive play. Like to hold a team to 5 shots on net through 40 minutes is unbelievable.
Yeah, and the thing I noticed on that point is how many times Montreal was breaking out. And the D-man's got his head up, he's surveying the ice, and there's just nowhere to pass it, and how many times they had to just circle back and regroup and
Yeah.
almost try to re-break out, and there was even, like, a half dozen times where they had to force a pass and almost put it right on a Carolina player's stick. So the way they play those whatever their angles or kind of set up that wall to prevent those zone entries, yeah, like gaining entry into the zone seems to be a real challenge, and they've perfected the defense of that.
And it's almost like a soccer team where they can counterattack so fast. Like I've never seen a team get so many breakaways off its quick turnover, know where your guy is, send a 60-foot pass and it's right on the tape and they're in alone. Like if it wasn't for Dobish last night, that probably would have been 7, 8 goals for Carolina.
Yeah, he played great. What a legacy he's building throughout this playoffs. But I thought Carolina played obviously their game a lot better in the second game. I thought Montreal was pretty good though in terms of being patient and waiting for their opportunities.
True.
What else kind of jumps out at you this series?
Well, we talked about him a little bit already, but I just love the way Dobish. There was one play where I think it was Jankowski was in front of him, and Dobish is doing the head fakes, trying to stop the vision while he knows nothing's going to happen because Montreal is changing, and you can just see him chirping. And I don't know, there's something about a goalie with a little bit of crazy shit going on upstairs that I think you need. Like they need that personality, and he's just buying right into it.
Yeah, I think so too. It kind of just gives you an extra little bit of confidence and swagger from the back end. Kind of reminds you of the kind of the Ron Hextall type of approach where most of the goalies these days tend to really go into their own shell and be very
Yeah.
sort of uh almost like zen like, trying to avoid all the outside distractions. But yeah, you can't help but see your goalie sort of chirping other players and
It is
mixing it up
awesome.
with them and not want to fight a little harder to play in front of them.
And you can't do that stuff unless you're on an absolute heater, right? It means nothing if you're playing badly, but when he was feeling it, it was awesome. I'm very curious to see, because he's done so well after a loss. Like I think he's a almost 950 save percentage after a loss. So to go home, I mean, they got their split. That's all they needed to get, right?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great series, and it'll be always exciting to see it go back to the Bell Center as they advance further and further. Just the intensity around there continues to ratchet up quite a bit. We've talked about a lot of the Canadians players, and we've talked a lot about Demidov over the last year. But he's worth bringing up again, and not so much that his contributions are more than the other players on his team necessarily, but in terms of just guys that are entertaining to watch, and you're seeing him play, and the way he skates, the way he moves the puck, the way he uses like deception, and there's sort of a creativity to his game, like and Lane Hudson a little bit, I guess, as well. Those two guys are fun to watch.
So there, I actually had this written down. There was a, it was a nothing play, a Demidov, like he was at his own blue line and the Carolina pressure's coming at him. He made one little head fake, pulled the puck back to himself, and then perfectly sauced over a Carolina defender's stick right on somebody's. And I'm like, it's a nothing play, but it's just so crazy that in this, obviously the biggest games of his career, he's still so chill and calm that he's doing this stuff.
Yeah,
Like something happens every time he touches the puck. And I love there's certain guys that just happens to, and he's once he gets a little like he's only playing like 15 minutes a game, but once he gets a little more ice time too, which you can't bench that top line, but I this kid's ceiling is just
yeah,
endless.
he's so creative and he just does things that you don't see other players do. So you're right. As he gets more playing time and more confidence and he grows in his career, he's just going to be, I think, taking it to another level. I remember when I was at the Wings Canadians game back in January, you always notice when you're watching a game live guys that jump off the ice to you in a live environment where you're like, wow, they're all amazing players out here, but man, that guy just there's something different about him. And there's like
Yeah.
every time he touched the puck, you could almost feel like the anticipation of the crowd start to kind of bubble up because you just never know when he's going to do something you maybe haven't seen before.
Yeah, 100%. And it's the fact that he does it all the time. Like that to have the confidence already, it's like that guy's gonna be 100-point guy for sure in the future.
Yeah, he's definitely been fun to watch throughout this playoffs, and yeah, I'm excited to see how he progresses over the rest of his career, and both coaches in this series too are just awesome. Like St. Louis, just cool and calm. Seems to be making all the right moves. It's just awesome to see the way the guys have responded to him. The players respect him, and then Rod the Bod on the other side, like this guy is as intense as they come. You just look at him chomping on his gum on the bench. You almost think he's on something. Like the way he's just like
He
his
might
his eyes, he just looks totally wired all the time. But you can see why his players play hard for him, and he's got kind of a good thing going there.
Yeah, it's hard to believe like this time last year they were talking about him potentially leaving because I think he would be rehired somewhere in about 10 minutes. Like he's another one of these guys that just gets complete buy-in, and you can see it. I mean, they've been a successful team. They just haven't got to where they want to go. But yeah, he's he's got to have some jaw issues after these games. Like he's chewing that gum to no end.
Let's switch over to the West Coast. We've got a bit of an upset brewing here so far with Vegas up 2-0 on Colorado. And I got to say, I've never been a big Vegas guy, but I'm kind of starting to get wrapped up in this team. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of some of the key players. This run Marner's going on has been really fun to watch, and Torts just continues to shine on the mic, and he's
That's
just
awesome.
he gives a great quote. So there's something actually kind of likable about this Vegas team.
I was just gonna say, Torts has somehow made this villainous, hated Vegas team into something I'm really enjoying. And if you're a Leaf fan right now, are you even turning on the hockey? Because you got your ex goalie who is just dominating the playoffs. You got your biggest rival, 3 wins away from making the Stanley Cup Finals, and now you've got a guy you couldn't wait to get out of town as the front runner for the Conn Smythe and potentially Stanley Cup winner. I fucking hope that he wins this. Like I'm on the Vegas bandwagon now.
Same here, and there's just he's kind of got he can be a bit up and down in his play, but when Marner's playing his best, there's not many guys that are more entertaining to watch. Like we talked about the creativity of Demidov, but I feel like Marner's even on another level where he's just, you know, the way he sees the game and anticipates the play and the passes that he makes, and obviously he's got some pretty sick hands when it's time to finish things off. But man, when he's on, he is as fun as almost anybody in the league to watch.
Yeah, he was another guy that when he first came in, it was like he same as Demidov. He was making something happen almost every time he's out there and noticeable. And unfortunately for the Leafs, this has to be pure nightmare fuel for anybody that cheers for that team. I love it. But on the Vegas side, like you talked about it last week, these bottom six guys that just keep driving teams, and nobody's other than maybe Josh Anderson, no one's doing it more than Brett Howden for Vegas. Only 12 goals all year, and all of a sudden he's got 9 in the playoffs. Like when you can get a guy like that to give you, extra production outside of what you're normally expecting, this is how teams make deep runs.
And this is what makes you fall in love with the Stanley Cup playoffs is guys like this that just step it up when the moment is so critical and put it all on the line and play the best hockey of their lives when they have these chances. And to see the way these guys that are on the bottom six, when they're playing like that, it infuses the energy and the enthusiasm with the rest of the guys on the team.
Absolutely. And like you said, Torts just keeps killing it on the mic. There was actually a story out this week that he's not signed past the rest of this year, and they were already questioning, like, is this a guy Edmonton should go after? I'm like, oh God, please make it happen. It would make next year so much fun.
That would be a
'Cause you,
complete 180 personality wise from Knobloch, but it does feel like, Torts is the kind of guy that he seems like he's softened up a little bit. Like, I'm sure in the dressing room he can still tear a strip off guys with the best of them, but he's a little more out there praising guys like,
yeah, little softer.
a little bit of a softer, a little bit more finesse. So I gotta think, when I think of a team like the Oilers, it's not about the X's and O's with them. It's a bit more about the psychology. You've got probably the talent there to get it done. And it's about managing all the personalities, managing all the ups and downs throughout the course of a season, the emotional component of it. Obviously, you still need to like play a good system. You need to get the defense and
Yeah,
goaltending straightened out, but I think so much of it comes down to the psychological element and pushing the right buttons with the right guys. And I feel like Torts is kind of just putting on a master class of that in Vegas right now.
absolutely. And I mean, obviously, Vegas isn't the crazy market that some of these other teams would be, but man, I hope they make the finals. I'm cheering for them, which I never thought I would ever say because
Yeah.
division rival, and but I just love the story.
And on the flip side, there's something, I don't know, unlikable might be a little too harsh on for the Avalanche, but find myself, I have a hard time rooting for them. Like, obviously, they've got a ton of talent up and down the lineup. But McKinnon, as great of a player as he is, sometimes I wonder about how great of a leader he is. Like, you see I'm a big vibes guy. I'm a big body language guy. That's why I've never been quite as high on Kucherov as some people, even though he's super talented. But you see McKinnon out there with like not the greatest body language, getting up, yelling and screaming at guys on the bench. And I get it. It's playoff time. You need to like, bring it to another level, and he's an intense guy, but I don't know. What are your thoughts when you kind of watching that team?
It's kind of like what we talked with McDavid there a couple weekends ago, where everyone's maybe a little on edge because old Nate's gonna tear a strip off when you get back to the bench. And I don't think I've ever seen him like yelling at guys, but you have seen him just sitting on the bench and he looks almost enraged.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's probably a bit of that. I don't know if Bednar is maybe. I think he's a great coach, but I don't know. I think he's kind of getting out dueled here by Torts. And when you have the better team and the more talent, I think you can only do so much, right? Like at some point, it becomes like you were just saying, pushing the right buttons and motivating the right guys. And I don't know if he's getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, we can't not bring up the fact that they're missing the world's greatest defenseman for the first two games, so
For
that's
sure,
a pretty
for
big
sure.
influence too. But it there's does seem like they're just gripping the sticks a little bit tighter, and they're not playing. You don't seem to see that sort of team camaraderie and cohesiveness or that you have with Vegas right now.
And I don't know if you saw any of the Bednar interview where I'm pretty sure it was Colorado media questioning Cale Makar about whether or not he can play. And Bednar kind of freaked out. He's like, "Do you not think that this guy wants to be out there?" Like I hate the injury questions. Like I know hockey guys, and we've all cheered for teams, and then you find out later like guy had a broken ankle, guy had a torn MCL. Like I guarantee if Cale Makar could play, he would be out there. Like a stupid question to ask.
Yeah, it's pretty kind of insulting to even like suggest that
Exactly.
a guy wouldn't. But yeah, they're in pretty tough. Obviously, down two to heading to Vegas for the next two. But if anybody can weather that storm, it is the Avalanche. And I haven't heard is Makar supposed to be back for the game tonight?
They haven't said anything yet, but I'm gonna imagine he's gonna do everything he can to be out there. But you almost walk the fine line of is it gonna be a hindrance if he is out there at 40%? So we'll see. But they lose tonight. I mean, history says they're done.
Yeah, well, it's been fun watching the conference action, so we'll look forward to seeing how that evolves next week, and should have a pretty good idea of our Stanley Cup Finals matchup by the time we do our next pod. In the meantime, Charlie, I did want to touch on kind of an interesting event in the sporting world that's actually taking place today. Here is this enhanced games. Have you heard about that?
I hadn't heard about this till Friday of this past week. So I immediately was like, I gotta look this up because I think it's kind of genius. I don't know what the results are gonna be. Like I am gonna probably pick it up on the live stream and see some of this, but for anyone who doesn't know, they're doing what is it, weightlifting, some swimming,
And
and
track.
some track. But
Yeah.
anybody's allowed to just be juiced up on whatever they want, as far as I know.
After you told me about it, I did a little bit of looking into it, and it sounds like everything's doctor supervised. So for whatever that's worth, but I think the three main sort of enhancement protocols that they would be using is testosterone, EPO, which I'm not 100% sure what that is, if it's like a sort of a blood transfusion like what they do in the cycling. I know it has something to do with like your cardio output capacity, and then
Yeah.
growth hormone, so you can just get monstrous for these things. But yeah, three core areas with the weightlifting, the swimming, and the track. And to be honest, like I'm not sure how much of that is clean in those sports,
Anyways,
even at the Olympics. So from that perspective, I kind of am interested to see what these guys could do when they're fully enhanced.
and what happens if we get, this, say they shatter every world record and then all of a sudden somebody gets the idea of an enhanced baseball league? Because I got to be honest, the best part of watching baseball the last 30 years was when fucking Barry Bonds was putting every other pitch into McCovey Cove. Like, I think this could open up a real window into different sports here.
And then where does enhancement stop? For me personally, the sports I like, I'd rather see them kept clean and an even playing field, but I don't really give two shits about swimming. So yeah, load them up with growth hormone and steroids, and let's see how fast these guys can go.
But you say that, but could you imagine if, I don't know, the future Josh Allen throws a 90-yard in the air pass to somebody that's running a 2.840 down the sidelines. Like,
Actually, yeah, good point. That would be pretty entertaining. And like, imagine some of the menaces. Like, you take a guy like Micah Parsons or something, and then put him on
God.
heavy doses of growth hormone. Like, that could be pretty scary coming down on you.
Oh, I would. It's a crazy idea, but I'm kind of buying in. But I don't know if you went on their website, but there's actually links where you can start getting on the stuff too.
Yeah, you can become enhanced as well. Yeah.
So maybe we do our little golf tournament. Maybe we should have our own enhanced games. Everybody get juiced up for a year.
Now that could be interesting. Yeah, we could really be crushing it off the tee. But yeah, love it or hate it, it is kind of interesting, and to sort of see what the human body is capable of in some of these sports, and like especially for something like 100-meter dash. Like if you start seeing like guys shaving a second off the world record, that could be pretty wild.
It's a disruptor for sure.
There's no credible broadcaster that wanted to take this on, so I think it's going to be live streamed on YouTube. And I think Donald Trump Jr. is one of the lead guys in promoting this, so everything's going to be above board. I think you get a free vial of growth hormone with your VIP ticket.
That's awesome.
But we'll have to report back on that after. Some other stuff that's kind of crazy coming out of the U.S. is these UFO files that they've released. So, there's been a lot of conspiracy theories that have, over the years from, was it Area 57? Is that kind of the
51?
51.
57 is the steak sauce.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So Area 51, we've heard lots of rumors here, but now they've released footage, and I guess the question begs the question, to what end?
So I was pretty interested. Like, I'm not a UFO person, but when this stuff was coming out, I'm like, okay, well, because I have seen some videos, and it's always like this blurry shit where it's something moving across the screen. And I thought this would be more interesting, but it is just more blurry videos of projectiles moving across the screen. And a bunch of the stuff's already been debunked that it's not anything to do with extraterrestrial stuff. But apparently there's more to come. I kind of look at it as the UFO files are kind of like the WNBA. It exists, but really in the end, who gives a shit?
Yeah, I watched those videos too, and I was like, you could tell me that's a sparrow flying across the sky or somebody's drone or something. I was expecting more. Yeah, it's like these like security footages that you're seeing, something zoomed in from hundreds of feet away, and it just looks like a little speck going across your screen that could be anything. So I'm not that excited. And you know what? We've been talking about this long enough. Show me the alien. Like,
that's right.
Now
tell
me when you got an alien to show me, and then I'll come and pay attention.
Here's a twist, though. What if they are getting lined up for the 100-meter dash and Donald Trump Jr. uncages something that can run a 6-second 100-meter dash, just completely jacked.
It's like a WWF event where all of a sudden they're about to line up and the Stone Cold music comes on, and this alien comes out from behind and lines up with them.
That's Donald Trump Jr.'s music. Oh God.
But how would you feel? Like, say they presented an alien, in whatever form or it takes. Would that frighten you or give you a sense of dread of some sort?
I don't know, because it's a good question. Like, I guess it depends on what sort of theory you follow. Like, if you think we're a simulation for some other civilization, and they're all knowing and powerful, then yeah, I'm probably shitting my pants. But if they've been here this whole time, and it could be Smitty down the line at the auto plant, then I feel like I'm doing okay.
Yeah. I feel like if we did actually see an alien and got that confirmed, it would sort of make what I'm doing at my day job at the office a little more insignificant, more so than it already feels. But I'm ready to embrace it.
There'd be a whole new section on the old YouPorn page within about 2 weeks.
That's great. We'll continue to monitor that and see what updates they have on the alien front. But Charlie, we better get to our weekly trivia here.
Yeah.
And that was a great one you asked last week, the Brian Leach question. I looked into it further because it kind of just got me curious, and I thought, I wonder if he was the first American player, aside from defenseman, to win a Conn Smythe. And indeed, he was. He was actually the first non-Canadian player of any nationality to ever win a Conn Smythe. So making that even more of a milestone. But we're switching gears here, and sometimes when I think of trivia and look at the record books, I like to think of what would the records be if you just took Gretzky out of the picture. So that leads me to my question for this week is, if you take Gretzky out of the record books or his career out of the picture, who had the most goals in the 80s? And this is an interesting question because there's a few guys that are right within 20 goals of each other, I believe. So give that some
That's
thought.
a good one.
Yeah, think about it, listeners, and we'll circle back in the outro and see what you come up with.
All right.
Okay, buddy, time for the weekly report card. Let's get her rolling.
All right, kicking things off, I've got an A for the Hamilton Hammers. This is a brand new AHL franchise. They're going to be the affiliate to the New York Islanders. Hamilton just built, didn't build, but refurbished and built a brand new building where the old Cops Coliseum was. They put out their new logo, their new branding. I love it. It's the Islanders colors, but with this Hammers crossing logo. I don't know. I'm pretty excited for Hamilton because I think it's a cool venue, and they kind of lost the Bulldogs there to Brantford. I don't know if that was the plan all along, but it's good to have hockey back in Hamilton, and the Islanders have some interesting young prospects, so I definitely plan on attending a game there. So A for the Hammers.
I've got an A for Jake Allen, and I don't know if it was his Sportsnet debut on the broadcast for the playoffs, but it's the first time I remember seeing him, and they had him on for the Montreal game earlier this week. I thought for a guy that's pretty new to that panel, he did a great job. He former Montreal goaltender, provided a lot of good insights on Martin St. Louis, how he likes to run his system. I thought he held himself well in that broadcast, and it's got to be an intimidating thing, right? Going on Hockey Night in Canada and giving your opinion, and throughout the game you probably only have 10-15 minutes to kind of collect your thoughts and figure out what you're gonna say. So kind of cool to see him on there. Last night's broadcast with no Bieksa, no Allen, and Jennifer Botterill on there, that was unwatchable. I just couldn't handle that.
I do enjoy Luke Gadzik a little bit. He's coming around actually, but yeah, it was rough. Ron had one of the worst throwaways ever. It started off on somebody's outdoor rink in Oakville, and he just kept going, and it never came around. And you could even see the other panelists were like, what the fuck is going on here? Yeah, exactly. All right, I got an A+ for the London Knights. They just released photos of their new player facilities. So we've got a team room where they're going to watch video. They got new dressing room. They got new weight room. And they've kind of always been the benchmark for the OHL as far as, almost running it like a professional team. And I think this is so huge because this is what teams are going to have to do to keep these guys in the OHL. And, they're just ahead of everybody else yet again. So big A+ for the London Knights organization.
Got a B- for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Now, I don't give a lot of B- out. That's kind of an odd rating, but I'm giving it to them for the fact that they're not allowing Bruce Cassidy to interview for head coach positions. On one hand, it's kind of a dick move, right? Like, you fired the guy and you're preventing him from interviewing for some of these marquee coaching positions that are up. At the same time, you kind of got to respect the strategy of it, is because
Yeah.
Edmonton's one of the teams that really wants him on there. That's one of your main a division rival of yours. So preventing him from taking that job strategically makes a lot of sense. But I was just kind of surprised at sort of the cutthroat nature of that.
And I wonder, like, if someone asked Edmonton now about Knobloch, because technically they can block him from a job for the next 3 years. It is a dick move. Like, think about it when Costanza got fired from Play Now. If they would have got in the way from him going to Kruger Industrial Smoothing. All right, I got an A for the Montreal Victoire, PWHL champs, beating Ottawa 3-1 in the series. I actually watched every game of this. I thought it was great. Big win for Marie-Philippe Poulin, who you have to say her whole name every time. But it was great hockey. And, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of it, but I did watch some of the playoffs and all the finals, and big victory for Montreal, and hopefully their men's team can do the same thing.
Nice. I've got an A for the Carolina Hurricanes fan atmosphere. I haven't watched a ton of Hurricanes games throughout the year, but was actually blown away at the intensity and the volume level of this crowd. Just bringing it. Like, we've talked a lot about the Bell Center crowd being the best in the NHL, but man, Carolina's given them a pretty good run in terms of that intensity, and just maybe a little naive as somebody who lives north of the border here, but I didn't realize Carolina was that passionate of a fan base. So A to them.
I've got an A+ for Blue Jays reliever Tyler Rogers. I know we've talked about the Jays bullpen already, but this guy's numbers aren't mind-blowing. He's got a 1.54, 15 strikeouts, but he's an old school submarine style pitcher. And it's just an absolute joy to watch that, because he's got to be one of the last guys doing this. He actually has the lowest release point in the major leagues right now. And this week, Major League Baseball actually put out some slow-mo of him doing his complete windup, and it's literally like 3 inches off the ground. And I don't even know how you pitch like that, just screwing around, but to do it at the professional level and be ultra effective, it's just awesome. And I love seeing it. So A+ for Tyler Rogers.
I always wonder how guys that pitch in that style ever adopt that, because it's not like when you're just
so
playing
weird.
pickup baseball as you're growing up that you see anybody messing around with that. It's almost like, it feels like somebody did it as almost like a dysfunctional mechanic, and it turned out to work out for them.
And that's the thing that's so unique. Like, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? It's just like a knuckleballer. It's such a skill set that only few have, that I really appreciate it.
I've got an A for the movie Deliverance. Now, this is a movie I had seen a long time ago, but it had probably been 20 years since I watched it, so I kind of forgot the details. It came out in 1972, was nominated for Best Picture, which is the same year as The Godfather. And, it was just such a cool movie in terms of the way it held up, like the intensity of it. It's got one scene in there that's quite disturbing and sticks with you, but I forgot how good it was. Young Burt Reynolds, young John Voight, and it was just the intensity of it from start to finish. I was riveted. So just throwing an A out there for the movie Deliverance.
All right. I got an F for Tottenham Hotspur, the Premier League team that I have rooted for the last probably 15 years. They managed to escape the drop today. They needed 1 point. They ended up winning the game. They stay in the Premier League, but they had the worst home record they've had in 118 years. A team with the 7th highest payroll in all of the Premier League, and I believe it was 10th all across Europe. They only won 3 games at home this year. Like, just absolutely horrible. Three different managers had to come in this year. Ultimately, the last guy comes in and saves the team, but you can't. And they just built $1 billion stadium a few years ago. Like, such a joke. Like, I can't even make a comparison in the other sports, but this is like considered one of the top, we'll say, 6 teams in England, and they were literally 2 points from being relegated to another league, which the relegation system absolutely fascinates me. It obviously wouldn't work over here now because these leagues are so established, but Like, this was probably the most excited I was to watch a game because there were actual stakes to it, but they survived, but things got to change there real fast.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that game before we signed on here. So at first I thought you were going to say they didn't get the points
No,
and
they
they dropped down.
no, they survived, but it wasn't a good game, and it was kind of a microcosm of their whole season where they just escaped, we'll say.
All right, that's all the report cards I have. Did you have more?
I got one more.
Okay, yeah.
And this was something I just found before I came on. I got an F for Johnny Manziel. I don't know if you saw this, but he took part in something called brand risk MMA last night. He's now an MMA fighter. He actually got a first round stoppage against, I guess, an actor. I've never heard of this guy, Bob Maneri.
Doesn't
But
ring a
anyways,
bell. Yeah.
Johnny came out with a house of fire and he got the first round stoppage. But what happened to this guy? Like, this was a first round NFL draft pick, and now you're fighting on like a, I don't know, I would say 6th tier MMA card where somebody named Ray J, actually Lance Stevenson fought Michael Beasley on the same card. Like, what are we doing here? But anyways, quite a fall from for Johnny, who's believe his dad's like an oil millionaire, and this is what you're doing. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up our weekly report card. That's a good way to finish it off there, Charlie. As we head down the home stretch here, let's come back to the trivia question. Just a quick refresher. We're looking for the player that scored the most goals in the 80s, not counting Wayne Gretzky.
All right. So my first intuition here was to go to a guy like Mike Bossy because he had so many 50 goal seasons, consecutive years. But I feel like a couple of those were probably in the 70s, so that probably takes out about 100 goals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
But
is that who it was?
That's who it is. Yeah. Joe, don't overthink it here, Charlie.
Okay.
Go with your gut. Way to nail it there. He actually only played till 87, but
Wow.
you're right. That's what makes it more impressive. He didn't even play the whole 90s. And he had a good chunk of his goals in the late 70s.
That's crazy. So he was, wow, because he had what, nine straight 50.
I believe so. Yeah, he's got the record for most 50-goal seasons in a row still, I think.
And it was just bad knees, right? Just
no, bad back.
Bad back
knocked him out. It's crazy the things like, how Bobby Orr had the bad knees, he had the bad back. Probably those things nowadays you'd miss, half a season with the medical technology. And, it would have been cool to see what Bossy could have done if he played. I think he was 30 years old when he retired. So probably still would have had, 3 or 4 at least potential 50-goal seasons left.
Yeah, we got guys coming back from completely blown out ACLs in 8 months, and Bossy had to retire because his back.
Exactly, yeah. But what makes that an interesting question is a few guys that were right in the mix there was Yari Curry.
That was my next guess.
Yeah, and best duster in the league for the 80s, Michel Goulet. A guy that, other than his duster, I don't know if he gets the love that he deserves. He played a big part on that 86 Team Canada team, but he was with the Nordiques, who never could kind of get over the hump, but had a pretty prolific career from a point standpoint.
So he had the 3rd most goals in the 80s, or 4th, I guess, if you take Gretzky.
It was actually Stastny was in there too. So it was, Gretzky, Bossy, Curry, Stastny, and then Goulet. But between Bossy to Goulet was only, I think, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was like a 30 goals separated those 4 guys.
It's kind of crazy that those Nordiques teams didn't win anything. Like, they were loaded.
Yeah. I'd love to see that team come back to Quebec. I'm sure that fan base would support the team, but maybe it's just not a big enough like TV market.
And they just built like a huge arena there not too long ago too. It would be awesome. Have you ever seen the clip of it's like during warm-ups and it's Montreal and Quebec and it's just like a full out friggin' brawl in the 80s? Like, they got to bring the Nordiques back.
Absolutely. And get those jerseys. Like, the Avalanche are really milking those 3rd jerseys, like taking those Nordiques jerseys. Gotta, like, in my mind, in my opinion, they're the greatest jerseys the NHL has ever produced. They must have worn those things 12 times this year, and it's like there's not even a connection. I mean,
And
obviously,
we missed the biggest like slam dunk bet of the year when Colorado went to Montreal and they wore the Quebec jerseys. Like you knew Montreal wasn't letting them out of there with a win, and I believe Montreal stomped them like 5-2 or 6-2. It was cool to see the jersey matchup, but I don't think they should be wearing those at all.
yeah, I agree. But anyways, it would be cool to see those jerseys come back to Quebec City and have another team in Quebec again. Charlie, here we're almost wrapping up. I've pretty much finished this beer of mine. So just a quick, how'd you like your beer?
I put 2 of them away, and
Shit.
and I no, this is one of my favorites. Like when it's fall, I this is one of my go-tos. So out of 10, I would give that one an easy 8.3 out of 10. I got nothing bad to say about it.
Yeah, and for this Octopus Wants to Fight, I'd give it a 8.5. As far as IPAs go, in the 6+ point percentage range, it's very smooth. Got a great mouthfeel, very, very wet. But no, some IPAs I find a little bit almost syrupy, a little bit harsher. This one's got a little bit of a velvety sort of feel to it. Soft on the palate going down. But anyway, so yeah, that's our first What We're Drinking segment. So we'll try to come up with something new for next week.
Yeah, so Great Lakes Brewery knocked it out of the park this week.
Yeah, good job, boys. Okay, time to wrap it up here, Charlie. I'm about to jump on, watch a little of this Montreal Grand Prix. And just previewing, we haven't done one of our Wax Era Legends segments since the Don Cherry one. So who do we got up next for our next episode?
We're going to one of the most polarizing guys of the 90s, the Big E. No, I'm not talking about Jeremy Ellis. We're going full Eric Lindros. I can't wait to get into this because I remember like when he came out, it was like something you'd never seen before. So a guy with such size and skill and speed. So it's going to be cool to go back and look at some of his stuff.
Yeah, I definitely can't wait for that. So we'll get that fired up next weekend, and we'll have a little bit of a reconnect on the conference finals here. Until then, Charlie, you have a good week, and we'll talk to you later.